Hey guys, in this video we are going to cover hereditary spherocytosis. The term hereditary means that this disease is inherited and the mode of inheritance is autosomal dominant. And the term spherocytosis means that the RBC in this disease is spherical in shape rather than being the normal biconcave in shape. So this is the normal structure of RBC membrane. So in the membrane of the RBC there are various proteins. And this proteins maintains the stability of the red blood cell membrane and also helps to maintain the biconcave shape of the RBC. And the most important proteins that are present on the membrane are band 3, ankyrin and spectrin. And in hereditary spherocytosis, there is mutation in either of these three proteins and this leads to instability in the red blood cell. And because of this instability, the RBC tries to acquire the shape with least surface area and that is spherical shape. And that is why the RBC in this disease is spherical in shape. So as I have already told you that in this disease there can be defect in the ankyrin protein, which is the most common defect, and this is followed by band 3 defect and then the spectrin protein defect. Now coming to its pathophysiology. So normally the biconcave shaped RBC are able to easily pass through the fenestrated endothelium of the spleen. And it is because these biconcave shaped RBCs are very flexible. But what happens to these spherocytes is that they are very unstable and that is why they lose their flexibility. And while passing through the spleen, they get trapped in the spleen. And when they are trapped in the spleen, they are eaten up by the splenic macrophages and this leads to hemolysis. And because of the hemolysis, there is anemia in this patient and that is low hemoglobin. And because of the trapping of RBC in the spleen, it leads to splenomegaly. And because of increased destruction of RBC, there is jaundice and there is increased unconjugated bilirubin that is raised in this patient. And because of this increased bilirubin, there is more propensity to form gallstone. And the type of gallstones which is formed in the patient with high unconjugated bilirubin is pigmented gallstone. Now coming to the lab investigations. So in the peripheral smear, as you can see over here, you can appreciate the spherocytes. Okay. And in this patient, because the surface area of the RBC is low, that is why the MCV decreases. And the surface area is low, but the hemoglobin is the same. And that is why it appears that the RBC is having high hemoglobin. And that is why MCSC in this patient is high. And mind it that it is one of the least common type of condition in the hematology in which the MCSC is high. Now coming to the diagnosis part. So the main test that we follow here is osmotic fragility test. Normally, here we put the RBC in the hypotonic solution. So in the hypotonic solution, the water moves from outside inside the RBC. The normal RBC is very stable and that is why it resists hemolysis. But the spirocytes are very unstable and that is why in the hypotonic solution, they undergo hemolysis. The other test that is used in the diagnosis is eosin-Phi maleimide assay. Now coming to the treatment part. Most of the time these patients are asymptomatic and that is why no specific treatment is required in this patient. But if the patient is greater than 65 years of age and is having significant anemia, then we can do splenectomy in this patient because the spleen is the only thing that is trapping the RBC and destroying them, isn't it? And the splenectomy is to be avoided in the asymptomatic patient because if the spleen is taken out from the normal healthy human being, it will cause increased chance of septicemia or septic shock in this patient. And because of increased hemolysis, there is high chances of gallstone. And if gallstones are present in this patient, we can do cholecystectomy for the gallstone. So with this, thank you for watching, and for more videos, do subscribe to this channel. And any suggestions or any queries are always welcomed.